You have followed and had strong views on Iran for some time. And let me ask with the most basic question. Is Iran stronger or weaker today than it was last Thursday before the attack on General Soleimani?
Iran is much weaker today after the attack on General Soleimani. And I would say the frame of mind of the leadership group, tight at the top, has got to be full of more fear than they had a week ago.
Is their political position within Iran, as far as we know and can tell, actually stronger? Because there have been a lot of demonstrations, a lot of people killed in demonstrations in Iran, so they're really resisting the regime. Is there rallying around the supreme leader now, Mr. Khamenei?
So honestly, it's hard to tell. I mean, there's certainly a rallying around among a group of people within Iran who are loyal to the regime and maybe admire General Soleimani. But as you said, it's important for people in our country to understand there's tremendous dissent in Iran about the regime, and a lot of it focused around Soleimani in this sense. People have been out in the streets protesting the government for months all around the country. And part of what they protest with signs and chants is stop spending the money in Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen. We need it here. And Soleimani, of course, was the main spender of that money. So I think the mullahs at the top of the regime in Tehran are sitting on a very unsettled political situation.
Well, we in the United States have been focused on Iran in various ways for many years, and part of it is because of their surrogate efforts with various terrorists in the region. It's also because of their nuclear program. Now, you were in charge of this organization to really stop nuclear Iran. We had President Trump just today tweeting out they will never get nuclear weapons. Do we have it within our capability to prevent them from getting nuclear weapons?
Well, we do. The question is whether we use that capability. And look, the Iranian regime has it within its capability to stop its nuclear program. I mean, we're not just out to stop Iran because we want to stop anybody from getting nuclear weapons, although we'd like to. But this is a regime that since 1979, when the revolution occurred, they grabbed our hostages. They've been our enemy. They put themselves at war with us. So why would we want to allow them, such a country, to become a nuclear power? The whole idea of years of sanctions adopted by Congress, implemented by presidents of both parties, economic pressure on Iran was to hurt them so they would come to the table and negotiate an end to their nuclear program. Unfortunately, President Obama's administration did that with some of our allies, but it was a bad deal. It didn't end their nuclear program. It gave a lot of money to Iran, including money they gave to Soleimani to use for terrorism against us. But I think the aim of President Trump's program and strategy in Iran, through economic pressure, now through a clear demonstration of willingness to use American power against Iran, is to bring them back to the table to negotiate a deal that will end their nuclear program and, in fact, to their benefit and their people's benefit, bring them back into the world economy.
What does this heightened tension with Iran mean potentially for Israel? A lot of Israelis came out and said they thought it was a good thing, but at the same time, they're closer to the front lines if there are possible reprisals. Is it strengthen or hurt potentially Israel?
Well, there's no question that Israel is a natural target of response for Iran. But, you know, Israel, I think, also unsettles the mullahs because it has its own military power in excess of what the Iranians have. And for a number of years, the Israelis quietly but methodically have been hitting Iranian targets or Iranian-sponsored targets, particularly in Syria, sometimes in Lebanon, that the Israeli government thought were threatening Israel. It has been fascinating and noteworthy that, notwithstanding the fact that Israel is a definite possible target of Iranian retaliation for the killing of Soleimani, that from all that I hear and see, the broadest spectrum of Israeli political leadership has supported what President Trump did in killing Soleimani, because they deemed him to be their enemy and the main creator, funder, director of their more immediate enemies, Hezbollah and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad.
Let's bring it back to the United States for a moment, and even here in New York. There's been an uprise in anti-Semitic actions that is very disturbing. There have been demonstrations here in New York City against that specifically. What do you make of that? I guess my question is, why and why now? Is this a specific thing involving Jews, or is it a larger phenomenon in our society of increase in hate speech against various kinds of groups?
I think it is definitely part of a larger phenomenon. It has created a reaction in the Jewish community, naturally, because of the history of what happens with anti-Semitism when you let it go. I will say personally that it has, the outbreak of anti-Semitism has surprised me a great deal and made me think about it. And here's why I say that. Personally, in my lifetime, I have experienced just about zero anti-Semitism and I've been very public. I've been a senator from Connecticut. I've run on the national ticket, first Jewish American, privileged to be able to do that. So what's changed? And I hate to say it, but because there were always anti-Semites there, but they weren't acting out the way people are now. 2 synagogues being attacked by armed assailants who killed people in the synagogues. I'm afraid that it's the internet and the way in which the internet allows communication from people who are probably imbalanced or full of hate and motivates them to carry out violent acts. But it's not just against Jews, it's against all sorts of other groups. And incidentally, it enables extremists of all kinds, whether they're white nationalist extremists or Islamic jihadist extremists, to take violent action. We've got to figure out a way.
Well, that's my question. If it's the internet, we're not going to shut down the internet at this point, but what can we do? What can we replace this with something affirmative to try to overcome the negative?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it's a difficult question. What's happened with the internet is just typical of what has happened with every great new breakthrough in history. Fire, telegraphy, steam engines, flight, whatever. They not only bring extraordinary benefits, but they can be used in combat and to hurt people. So the internet has been a great advance in the quality of our lives, our businesses, entertainment, everything else. We've got to find a way to keep the extremists off of the internet without compromising free speech on it. And I think one thing we've got to look at here in the U.S. is Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which now gives total immunity from liability to internet social media companies for anything they carry. And they don't have a real adequate incentive, therefore, to use their technological brilliance to find a way to stop hatred on the internet before people get motivated to kill.